close the door. Hold the door. Makes me sad. Did I lose you?
No, I'm here.
Okay.
See that volume? I mean, it gets silent, dude. And you're just like, am I there? Are we live or not live? What happened?
Yeah.
That's what happened to me last time. I was like, hello, 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 hello,
Yeah, I understand.
hello.
Yeah, I'm sad about Hodor. But to be fair, we didn't see a body, which means one of two things.
I was more sad about the dog. We lost another one of the dogs.
Oh, yeah, that was, yeah.
Now, I was sad about the dog and Hodor.
Yeah.
I was sad about both of them.
Yeah.
All right. I didn't realize it was, I was like, oh, hold the door. Okay.
Yeah, which has interesting implications as to Bran's abilities, but that's not what we're here to discuss.
So he essentially changed time. He changed the time stream.
Yeah.
That's a pretty frightening implication.
We have to consider that perhaps, the guy that's teaching him could also be Bran. If Bran is putting his consciousness in other people, then he could keep going back and back and back, and he could be, he can just change events and do things throughout time. Yes. And there are other Brandon Starks that are significant figures in history, and it makes me wonder.
Yeah, it gets pretty freaky.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to count down and stuff. You got the intro? You got it ready?
Yep.
Okay, get that up. All right. 3, 2, 1.
What is up? This is the 6 Months Behind podcast, where we talk about all things that are Marvel Unlimited comics. I'm Pat.
I'm Sean.
And we're here to talk about the comic books that came out on Marvel Unlimited the week of 5/23/16. And it was a good week for, if nothing else, there were no Secret Wars comics. Can I get a hooray?
I'm done with the Secret Wars.
Yes, we seem to be. And if I read next week's shipping schedule right, we're actually going to get Secret Wars number 8 next week.
Okay.
Yes,
cool.
Because I'm looking. I have a chart that shows me. I actually have this charted out. Yes, you know me. We're actually at the end where they caught up, and it's Secret Wars 8 should come out next week. It should.
Awesome. Hey, that main book about this huge event. Yeah, we should probably start publishing that. Yeah, good job, Marvel.
Yeah, there you go. So the website is www.6monthsbehind.com, where you can find all the information on the other podcast that we did this week on the X-Men Apocalypse movie, all the comics that are in Unlimited related to that movie when you go see it this weekend, or if you've already seen it, if you're listening to this in the future, if you're like doing a Brandon Stark kind of thing and like traveling around in time, and you're listening to it in the future, and you know what we were talking about before the show started, okay? And you're listening to this in the future, and you're going in the past, and you're reading it in Unlimited comic books that came out months ago or years ago, and but we haven't read this yet because we haven't seen the movie yet. So anyway, you can go to the podcast that we did, but for a movie that hasn't come out yet. But anyway, comics are there, and go find a podcast for it.
Absolutely. And you can email us at overwatch@overwatch.com. Overwatch.
Is that what you've been doing? Overwatch?
I'm sorry, what now?
Yeah.
What? I'm sorry, I think I short-circuited. The email is 6monthsbehind@gmail.com. That's the number 6monthsbehind@gmail.com. I think something happened. I think I've played too much Overwatch, and I have an Overwatch hangover.
I think so.
A hangover watch, if you will.
Yeah, and I think you have to go to work soon, and you're going to go into like DTs.
Might. Yeah, I've been playing a ton of Overwatch this week. It came out this week. The game is super fun. I haven't been jazzed about a video game in a long time. But that's not why we're here. We're here to talk about Marvel Comics, and I'll try not to short circuit again.
There you go. So we will begin with the all-new Wolverine number 2.
Trace. Oh, no, you're right. It is Dos. It's number 2.
It's 2. It's number 2.
Yeah.
Yes.
I thought we were on number 3. Never mind.
Number 2. Come on. And that was your reading assignment because I didn't read it.
Did you not read this?
I read 73 Apocalypse books, okay? I didn't read all new Wolverine number 2.
Dude, I've played 18 hours of Overwatch since Monday.
Okay.
And still found time to read this book.
Okay,
yeah,
good.
I found time to read this book. This book is fantastic, dude.
Dude, I read Angela and Carnage, okay? I didn't get to Wolverine. All right, we'll get to that story in a minute. Okay, go ahead.
We'll call it even. All right. This book is really good, man. Laura Kinney, who is X-23, she's Wolverine's clone. She's taken up the mantle as Wolverine, and she's tracking down other clones that are being used as assassins, clones of her, I should say. For, they've been biogenetically engineered by some corporation for, evil. And it's just a cool story, man, even though it's already in number 2, or just at number 2, I should say. It really gets something right that comic books tend to bungle a lot. And it's that passing of the mantle story. You have a huge character like Wolverine. You can't just go make somebody else Wolverine. But they took his clone, who is very much like Logan, and made her Wolverine, and it just fits. And it just works out. She is the new Wolverine, and I'm really excited to see where they're going to go with these stories. And I can believe her to be Wolverine. It's like when Bruce Wayne passes the mantle of Batman to Terry McGinnis. It just works. It's a new person under the mask. It's a new dynamic, but it's still Batman, or it's still Wolverine at its core.
That's cool. Did they progress the story nicely this week?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm not going to get into it because that'd be spoilers, but yeah, good story progression. Makes you like the characters. There's some emotional stuff going on, and you get attached.
Yeah. The second book up is Angela, Queen of Hell. This is not my cup of tea, but I will say this. The art is being done by Stephanie Hans, if I'm reading that correctly. She did a cover, and she and Erin Kim Jacinto, if I pronounce that correctly, drew the inside of this book. And that is marvelous art. That is great art. Of course, Angela is on her way to becoming Queen of Hell. That's the story. Is she is working to become the Queen of Hell. There's a series of trials that she had, basically a series of, just thinks Dungeons and Dragons and completing a series of quests to become Queen of Hell, and that's in the process she's in. I'm not so much into the book or the character, but dude, that art is great, man. That's some good looking art.
Yeah, I didn't actually read the book, but I did flip through it a little. That is really good art. Like if you, some people don't really care about the art in comic books. I'm the kind of person who does. I really appreciate good art in my books, and that is top notch. I would love for everything to look like Alex Ross. I wish everything would look like Alex Ross or like this. I just don't want art to be bad and distract me from the story. As long as it doesn't take away from the story, it doesn't have to be great. But when it's great art and it adds to the story, well, so much the better. And this is great art. This is a book I wouldn't normally read that I might just read to look at the art. I mean, that's how good this art is. I agree with that.
Really good. Yeah,
I would probably do the same. And, you do see this in comics sometimes where the art kind of gets in the way of the storytelling. It's meant to be a visual storytelling medium. And yeah, sometimes it's great art, but it's like, dude, I don't know what panel to look at next. I don't know what the sequence of events is. I don't should I read this thought bubble first or that one? Art can get in the way of a story sometimes and make things confusing. And when you can pull off really good art and not just well drawn, but tell a story with it too, that takes real talent.
Yeah, it's not rocket science. It's not. And it's one of the things that Kirby perfected was just making art that looked good and added to the story at the same time and didn't distract from the story. And that's something that these two people, I don't know who's doing the layouts and who's doing the finishes, which is obviously what they're doing, but it's really good art.
You know what else has really good art? Overwatch. Have you seen that game? It's
Nice.
beautiful. It's really good.
I have not, no.
They're
I think
actually publishing comic books as well. Not books, but like digital comics. And to be fair, this is a comics podcast. There's some good writing and art in those books too. Anyway.
I think my laptop would melt down if I tried to play Overwatch with it.
Probably.
Probably, yes.
Carnage #2.
Carnage #2.
I read the first one. I didn't read
I had a bad day yesterday, as you're familiar with, from problems at work to a couple of personal problems to getting home, and for this is an inside baseball thing. We got ready to record the Apocalypse podcast, and we're like 30 seconds from getting ready to record. We may have actually already started recording.
Yeah, I already had us broadcasting.
My laptop decides to forcibly install Windows 10. It's just like, I'm not giving you a choice. I'm doing it right now. Good luck. Here you go.
I hope you click save because restart installing Windows 10.
Here you go. And yes, 3 hours later, we finally get around to recording the podcast. So to torture myself, I
had to be interrupted from an Overwatch game. Thanks.
Yeah. I sat down and read all the comics I didn't want to read that came out this week. So I started with the comics I didn't want to read and worked my way up to the good comics, okay? So instead of like reading the good comics to put myself in a bad mood, I'm like, all right, I'm in a bad mood, so I'm going to read Carnage because I'm in a bad mood, and I'm going to read the ones I don't want to read and work my way up to the good ones. So I started with Carnage.
All right, then.
Yeah, there you go. And it's not that it's a bad book. We've discussed this before. I'm just not into horror books. And it's a horror book, man. I mean, you got Carnage running around and killing people. Now, here's the thing.
The book is Carnage, literally.
Yeah, here's the thing. All right. Like page 3, issue 1, you put John Jameson in there. Now, anybody that doesn't see this coming a mile away, all right, you got John Jameson, you got Carnage. Anybody that doesn't see John Jameson becoming Man-Wolf and them squaring off at some point is just blind. And sure enough, toward the last couple of pages of issue 2, he becomes Man-Wolf. In issue 3, they're going to square off. And again, this is some good art. Okay,
it is good art.
Mike Perkins drew this. This is good art. This is good color too. But both this and that Angela book had good color in them. I'm not a fan of it. And I'll tell you what, it really wasn't as bad as issue 1. The story was better. There was actually some plot twist there, and it almost. I tell you what, I will go back and read issue 3 because I want to see what happens. It almost has me hooked. It's
as someone who doesn't like this sort of stuff, which is Carnage ripping people apart and just it's like Saw the movies. If you've ever seen those, I'm sure you have.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're familiar. Freddy versus Jason. Not your thing. Not really my thing either. But at least it's well done.
And the art was good, and the body count was down some. Okay, so the body count was down from like 25 to probably 10. So
only 10 people died.
Maybe not 10. I may be exaggerating. There wasn't that many guys left to kill after issue 1, so may have only been a few. But it was good, and they actually progressed the story some. So yeah, I mean, they may be getting me hooked in here.
Okay.
There you go. Next up, we have Miss Marvel #1.
I actually kind of like this book.
I did too. This was on the torture list, and I surprisingly enjoyed it.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised as well. I kind of like the character of Kamala being Miss Marvel. And this book is, it's a #1. But it's another one of those that picks up right where it left off, kind of. If you were reading this before, it's almost as if nothing happened between now and Secret Wars.
Yes.
But it's plight of the teenage superhero. she's balancing school and her love life and superheroing and her hobbies and just being a teenager with, being an Avenger. And,
it's about as far from Carnage as you can get.
It doesn't get much further.
Carnage is at this end, and Miss Marvel is at that end. Okay, they are two extremes, brother.
She's having trouble. This issue is she's having trouble at school. The guy she likes is seeing someone else. I like the bit where she was talking about trying to keep up with her weekly dungeon group and Ancient Scrolls Online. I thought that was a funny little joke.
If you one of the things that got me was she had been so busy being a hero that she looked up and realized life is passing her by. And I think we've all been there in some form or another. Maybe we're going to work, we're going to school, we're doing whatever, and you look up and you just realize, oh wow, I've lost 3 months, or I've lost 6 months, or where did the summer go, or where did the football season go, or where did whatever go? And she looks up and she's just suddenly all of her friends are moving on with their lives, and her family's moving on, and her neighborhood's moving on, and she's like, holy crap, where'd everything go?
Yeah. And it's almost the Spider-Man treatment for another hero. That was always kind of the classic Spider-Man story, plight of the teenage superhero. And, they did some really cool stuff with Spider-Man after they relaunched him, even though that was a super unpopular relaunch. People got real upset about that. But the storytelling after that was great. At the time, yes. And if you can do that again with a new hero, I will read your book.
And I was really surprised. I really was surprised how much I liked it.
Yeah, me too. I'm going to keep reading it.
Which brings us to Spider-Woman #1, which was just an interesting book.
Spider Baby.
That cover is interesting. I don't, and for those of you, we're of course doing a non-visual medium. It's a side shot of Jessica Drew being 8 or 9 months pregnant. And
yes, Spider-Woman is having a child. I don't know when this happened or where it happened, but it's happening.
Although the scene where Tony Stark goes up and asks her who the daddy is, did you read the book?
No.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I thought you read the book.
Sorry,
they have a baby shower for her, and Carol Danvers tricks Tony Stark into going over and asking who the father is, and Tony Stark, being Tony Stark, words it in, "Do you know who the father is?" And to say that that didn't end well for him. That was pretty funny.
No, I imagine not. Although it's not like Jessica Drew doesn't get around.
She did kind of get around, particularly in that last series she had in Secret Avengers also.
Yeah, she kind of did.
My apologies.
Which makes me wonder: are they gonna make a? Is this gonna be like some crazy reveal, like the dad's a supervillain or something?
You know what? Here's the thing: they went out of their way to say nobody knows who the dad is.
Yeah, that was my
Carol Danvers didn't know. Tony Stark didn't know, and if Carol doesn't know, nobody knows. Yes. She's not telling anyone. What happened, and this is it made for an entertaining read. Is she has trained the superhero, the Porcupine, to take her place. So she's no longer being.
Oh yes.
The Porcupine. Thank you very much.
Yeah, the Porcupine. If you don't know who that is, that's fine.
So she's trained him to take her place.
Yeah.
And she's basically retiring and taking maternity leave to have the baby. And then she goes to the Triskelion to get some special maternity care that Carol Danvers has berated her into, shall we say.
Yes.
And she gets there, and it all goes terribly wrong. And she doesn't get to take the maternity leave that she expected, which leads us to issue 2.
Interesting.
It was interesting. It was okay. I mean, I don't. You got the mystery of who's the father. You got her trying not to be a superhero. You got all the guest stars in issue 1, which basically all the Avengers were there, especially during the baby shower. It was okay. I don't know what you do with a pregnant superhero. I just don't.
Yeah, I could understand that. Well, and maybe they'll do something interesting. I always trust Marvel to do that, to always give me things like with that Visions book we talked about a few weeks ago. Give me
My
things
God,
I'm
they
not.
announced something interesting today, didn't they?
Yeah, it's one of those things where I expect them to give me interesting stories, and maybe this will be one. But if it's not, if nothing else, Squirrel Girl will have some more babysitting money to do something with.
There you go.
Yep. Which leads
That's
us to let's see,
Star-Lord.
Star-Lord. Yes.
Number one. Yes. Got to make sure I'm looking at the same list you are. Yes, Star-Lord number one. This was interesting because I thought this was going to be Star-Lord, Peter Quill, king of wherever.
Yeah, whatever planet
And
he's king of now for some
yes,
reason hasn't been
king of
explained to us.
wherever, dating Kitty Pryde. I thought that's what this book was going to be. Instead, it's an origin book. It's Peter Quill as a teenager, and it's
Oh,
how Peter Quill gets to space.
oh, that's
And
surprising.
it was very surprising. I mean, you pick it up expecting King of Spartax. I just remembered. Thank you.
Yeah.
You expect Peter Quill to King, Kitty Pryde, maybe a couple of Guardians appearing, and instead you get this teenager trying to get off Earth being picked up by Yondu. And it wasn't what I was expecting. It wasn't bad. It's just you pick it up expecting to read one thing and you find another. So it really kind of took a turn for me.
Yeah, you pick up a glass of tea and expect it to be tea, and it turns out it's Coke. Oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
that sort of
wasn't
thing.
a bad read. The art was so. It was okay. It wasn't distracting, as we were saying earlier. It was, it talks about how he got to space, how he got out there. Have they ever told this story before? Is
I
this a
don't know,
retelling?
or
I don't either.
it may be a retelling with a tweaking to be after being influenced by the movies. I am not familiar with the story, so
I'm not familiar with it.
now I'm gonna go back and read it because actually that sounds interesting to me.
And
But
it was interesting. It wasn't what I was expecting.
right, yeah, I'm gonna read it.
Yeah. So there you go. Uncanny Avengers Annual number 1.
Annuals, the thorn in the side of all collectors, because they mess up the numbering.
I don't know why they don't call them a well, they do sometimes. They call them at this point it would probably be a 2.1 or something, or a 2.A. Or I mean, what they needed to do here, what they wanted to do is they wanted to introduce a villain for the Scarlet Witch series.
Sure.
That's what they wanted to do, and they needed a book for an origin. Now, if you say we're creating whatever this guy's name is, does it say Emerald Warlock? Okay. If you say, and I really just kind of spoiled the book, if you say we're going to make a villain and just put out an Emerald Warlock special issue, it's not going to sell. Nobody's going to buy it. Okay, if you put out a Doctor Voodoo special book, nobody's going to buy it.
No.
If you wrap the whole thing up in Uncanny Avengers and you kind of throw in Steve Rogers and Quicksilver for a couple of pages and you throw in Dr. Voodoo for a couple of pages and then you wrap the whole thing up and at the end you have a villain for Scarlet Witch, well, then you call it an Uncanny Avengers Annual and people will buy it or read it in our case.
Sure.
So that's what they did.
Yeah. Okay.
And it was kind of cool at the end. I've really just spoiled the whole book. At the end, you realize they've at the end you realize, oh, that's what this guy did, and then they say, well, and what's he going to do with all this power he's just accumulated? And well, and literally that posed the question, what does he want to do with all this power? Because he's got to be after somebody, and then you realize he's after Wanda Maximoff.
Oh, okay. Well, that's unfortunate for her. Yeah, it's one of those things where annuals are always kind of these one-off issues, and they tend to do world building in them. And yeah, it served its purpose. You created a new villain for Wanda Maximoff.
You created something for
Now,
the Scarlet Witch, and that was their purpose, and there you go.
yeah, now Scarlet Witch has got to fight the Emerald Wizard or whatever his name was.
Emerald Warlock, I think.
Green Wizard, sure.
Sure. Okay. Yeah,
Uncanny
you
and
sense
Human.
our excitement, don't you?
Yeah.
I mean, this is one of those things where we may look back in 5 years, and he may be the ultimate villain, and we'll say, "Oh, we have to go back and read this book because this is his origin issue," or
who knows?
Or it may be in a dime bin somewhere in a box.
Yeah, it's going to be in a 10-cent box in under the regular stuff.
Yeah,
in a box in a warehouse, and Uncanny Inhumans #2. Did you read this?
I did. Did you?
Yes, I did.
What'd you think?
It's not bad. You got this.
Did you read #1, or were you? I don't remember your reaction to #1.
Confused. I didn't really understand what was going on, but
so what are you thinking
basically,
#2 now?
Well, Black Bolt and Medusa are splits. She's doing a thing with Johnny Storm now. Black Bolt wasn't real into that.
He's still not into it either, is he?
No, but he's got bigger fish to fry. He's out looking for Black Bolt and Medusa's son, who's gone missing with Kang the Conqueror. Kang's making trouble in the past as usual. It's the Inhumans and Johnny Storm trying to stop Kang and find Black Bolt's son.
And the Beast still playing with the time stream. Apparently,
Yes.
he has learned absolutely nothing.
I'm starting to wonder how many beasts are running around.
Well, there's only one at this point, I assume.
Well, we think. You start messing with time streams, maybe you got replaced by Dark Beast or something.
I don't know.
This is just really weird behavior by me.
even he said, "Hey, we need to go back and fix time, and I know something about time stream, so let's go."
Yeah, he's getting, and of course the X-Men are crucifying him over it. But
He
has not learned his lesson, and that is unlike Beast.
Yeah. It was. This was a good book. It's.
Yeah, I'm going to continue reading it for sure. It was Charles Soule's writing it, who I've become a huge fan of. I went from not knowing who he was to becoming a huge fan of him. So I'll continue reading it just because he's writing it.
What else has he written?
He did Weird World. He's doing a couple other books. He's doing one of the Avengers books.
Okay.
He was doing. That's Jason Aaron.
Weird World was what I wanted to know. That's.
Yeah, Weird World was the one that he really impressed me with. Anyway.
Okay. Cool.
Yep. Astonishing Ant-Man.
#2.
Did you read it at all?
I traced through #1. I did not. It was on the torture list last night.
Yeah.
And I didn't make it to it. How did it go today?
I started out not loving it, and I was like, okay, this is whatever. And by the end, I was like, oh, this is kind of nice. It's real funny and lighthearted. Ant-Man is now a hero for hire. He's, contracting out his abilities as security.
In Miami. Not in New York, but in Miami, yes.
In Miami. Meets an ex-girlfriend. It goes terribly. Beats up an emo kid. Poor emo kid. And there's murder bunnies.
I'm sorry?
Murder bunnies. At one point, he's fighting a magician-type character because reasons. And the guy starts pulling murderous bunnies out of his hat. And if you're a Monty Python fan, you'll find that interesting.
That's entertaining. That sounds funny.
Yeah, it was, and he meets this ex-girlfriend. It turns out they, it didn't end well between them, and he has to fight for her life, and they have a talk after, and it's not bad. I went into it going, this sucks, and came out with, oh, hey, maybe I'll read issue 3.
That is essentially the same thing that I did with #1. Is you think it sucks, And then somewhere along the way, you kind of find yourself chuckling and laughing and saying, "Okay, this is kind of funny."
Yeah. If you're into
Yeah,
lighthearted and, looking for something to let the kids read, might not be a bad idea.
that's the thing. Is if you look at all these comic books, from the Uncanny Inhumans to the Star Lord book to the Carnage book to the Miss Marvel book, not every book has to be deep intellectual thought in reading. And you can have Squirrel Girl and let it be fun. Okay, there are nights I just want to go back and read all 5 or 6 issues of Groot and laugh. And then there's nights I want to sit
Yeah.
down and I want to read something serious
Thought
and
provoking and something that makes your mind do some work, something you want to
yes,
sit down and think about later and tease out the storyline or what's possible. Yeah. And
yeah.
then
If,
sometimes
if
you
you,
just want to laugh at stuff.
I'll plug the website here. On www.6monthsbehind.com, I put up the apocalypse show notes on it, and at the end of it, on the appendix, I put the notes about the discussion of whether or not they had to kill Jean Grey in X-Men 137. And it's the notes between Jim Shooter and Chris Claremont and John Byrne and a couple of other people because and I had never thought about this, and I didn't realize until I read these notes where they had this roundtable discussion of, does she have to pay the consequences for killing billions of people when she blew up a star and killed all these people on this planet? And they were in an argument because Chris Claremont didn't want her to die. He
Hmm.
wanted to basically be absolved of her sins. And John Burton was like, no, she killed billions of people. She has to die. So there are times I want comic books to bring these thoughts and emotions out of me. I want them to make me think. And other times, dude, I just want to read Groot and laugh. And
Yeah.
we're going to get to a book in a few minutes that made me laugh. And there are other times I just want to laugh. And that's the thing about any entertainment medium is find what you want, enjoy it, and just
Like
don't
what
get
you read, read what you like.
like what you read what you like. Don't get hung up on it. If there's too much sex in it, leave it. If there's too many profanities in it, leave it. Just find what you like, find what fits you, enjoy it, and move on. You
Yeah.
don't got to petition the FCC if you don't like it. Just change the channel.
Yeah.
This isn't hard.
If you don't
Okay,
like
this
jokes and laughing and have no sense of humor, don't read Astonishing Ant-Man.
it's okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
We'll be
Okay.
okay.
New
But
Avengers #3,
now we're
which
getting
was,
somewhere with this story.
and this was a good story. And this
Yeah.
actually had a couple of jokes, and the story started progressing, and this was cool. I think we both read this.
Yeah. I really enjoyed this. Um, to get into it a little bit, in the years since the failed secret invasion of the Skrulls, um, the Skrull Empire has basically fallen apart.
As has the Kree Empire.
Yeah, Hala has been destroyed, and I don't know where that happened or when that happened, but it happened.
They both happened during the Infinity invasion.
Oh,
Not,
okay, yeah, Infinity Wars or no, not Infinity
no,
Wars.
it's when the Planet Builders came.
Yeah, that was Infinity, the Infinity event that happened before
Event.
Secret
Yes, thank
Wars.
you.
But,
Yeah,
yeah,
whatever that crossover is called. It was the Infinity event.
yeah, that was a
And
real confusing, weird event, and there's probably a lot of things that happened that I didn't understand there. But
the bottom line is golly, the builders came and destroyed a lot of those space empires, and they specifically
yeah,
destroyed the Kree and the Skrull empires.
right. What was left of the Skrull Empire was destroyed then. The
Actually,
Kree,
I think the Skrull empire may have been destroyed before that, but they definitely destroyed the Kree empire then.
yeah, absolutely. And now there's a big power grab in space. Like we were talking about, I forget what book it was, but we saw a meeting between the Brood and a couple other, cosmic entities, leaders of these empires, and it was like, oh, here's who's left. Well, I guess what they're going to do. But
Yeah,
that had,
it was like a Nihilus and the Brood, and that was it.
yeah, pretty much. And in this, we see the Skrulls are attempting to rebuild their empire using the Hulkling, which he has some Skrull origins. I forget exactly what his origin is, but I know he's part
Somehow he
Skrull.
is their chosen king. I
Yeah.
didn't really grasp how that happened, but he's their chosen king, apparently.
I thought it was so funny too because they go to AIM Island, Avengers Island, I guess, pick up the Hulkling. They're like, "Hey, we come in peace." Yeah, you're in this humongous space vessel that just decloaked above Avengers Island. Of course, they're going to attack you, dude. Like, what did you expect? So they're like, "Okay, we'll just kidnap him." So they snatch him up, take him to a planet. And the Knights of the Infinite, or the Knight of the Infinite, or something
like that. Yeah.
Something like that. Some scroll dude. He's pontificating about how he's their chosen one.
Yeah, they're basically giving this King Arthur quest.
Yeah, it's a King Arthur. Go retrieve this sword from this place, and if you survive the challenge, then you will be. It'll prove that you're our king. And Hulkling just walks in. He's like, "Yeah, sword, got it. Can I go home now? Here's your sword you wanted." It's a neat sword.
Yeah, dude's still speaking. He's like, "Here you go."
Yeah, here you go. He's just pontificating about all these, what it's going to mean to the Skrull Empire, and Hulkling's just like, "Got it, let's go."
Yeah, done. Can I go home? Can I get something to eat? I had a good sandwich made back there.
Yeah, I was trying to eat. You guys pick me up. Like, can we go buy a Whataburger first? Come on. Yeah, man, this is funny, and if you're not familiar with, or if you didn't read the first couple issues, the antagonist here is the Maker, who is evil Reed Richards from another universe. And this is going to throw another interesting kink into his storyline. Yeah, man, I'm going to keep reading this book because it's good. I like it a lot.
Yeah, and I don't know who Geraldo Sandoval is, but he's doing a good job drawing it too.
Yeah, art's good. Art's real good here.
And that brings us, that's the last of the all new books.
Last of the Marvel stuff. This brings us to Star Wars.
I wanted to have some Star Wars music queued up here because I know how hyped you are about these books.
Yeah, and that's how we get shut down with a cease and desist. Play 3 seconds of Star Wars music and get a lawsuit.
Where's my lightsaber on my phone? Anyway, go ahead.
Star Wars number 12. These books are good, man. And if you haven't been keeping up with it lately, Luke Skywalker gets captured by a Hutt on Nar Shaddaa and is forced into a fighting arena. And Han Solo and Princess Leia and Chewbacca and C-3PO have to go save him. And they're doing that in this episode. In this issue. I can't say a whole lot about the book without giving the whole thing away, but R2-D2 is the real hero here, and there's lots of lightsabers happening.
There you go. And how does that now aren't all these books running sequentially, and isn't, because they're leading into a crossover, which the Vader Down number 1 is the first book of, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
You got Star Wars number 12 that came out this week, and you also had Vader Down number 1 come out this week.
Yeah, all the Star Wars books are all happening at once or in the same time frame, and it's all post A New Hope. It's the time between A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, and this Vader Down book. Darth Vader is continuing his pursuit of Luke Skywalker. He knows who Luke Skywalker is. He's been searching for him for some time. And it's another book that I can't really say a whole lot about without giving away the plot or giving away a bunch of it or being spoilery. But he's looking for Luke, and he kills a bunch of rebels. A
bunch?
Yeah, a bunch. Like, you see how you understand what it meant to be Darth Vader, like how fearsome he could be on a battlefield. Yeah.
Okay. I was getting ready for the next book. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And I don't want to linger on it too long, and I can anyway, but,
sure,
dude, be reading these books. Like, if you're not reading these books and you're a Star Wars fan, get your head checked, man.
Seriously, all kidding aside.
Yeah.
We're Marvel guys, and that's why we're doing Unlimited. But since Marvel took over these books, and it's a whole Disney thing, okay? This didn't happen by accident, okay? Marvel bought the Dark Horse, Dark Hawk, Dark Horse series. Marvel got the rights back, when Disney bought Lucasfilms.
Right.
But they could have done anything. Okay, they
Yeah,
could have just thrown it out there. They could have done anything. Instead, they've put Jason Aaron on these books. They've put their best writers on these books. They've put good artists on these books. I mean, you just look at the covers of these books. This is good stuff.
Adi Granov is doing the Darth Vader covers, and he did a lot of work on an Iron Man series from 5 or 6 years ago, and that's some really good art, man. They're cranking out top-notch, not just Star Wars books, but top-notch comic books with these and all of them have just been knockouts. The Chewbacca book's okay, but all of these Star Wars books are just home runs every issue. And if you're not reading them, you really owe it to yourself to start.
Yeah, they're good. The whole series is very, very good, and they're great. That leads us to the last of the Marvel books, the Star Wars books. I had a book. When we sit down, we categorize these books every week. We'll put them by event. If we got an event going on, we'll put them in the event. Then we'll do regular books. Then we'll do the Star Wars books. And then we'll have miscellaneous books. And we kind of don't know what to do with. And Secret Wars 2 came out. And,
I thought we were done with Secret Wars books.
Well, here's the thing. And here's what really happened. Here's the behind the scenes for you. I'm sitting here ready to do a podcast. And somebody says, I'll be there in 5 minutes. I'm eating a sandwich. I'll be there in 5 minutes. So I'm sitting here at my laptop, and I'm finished reading a book. And, 5 minutes turns into 10 minutes, which turns into something else, which turns into something else. And I think, well, I don't know where my podcast partner is, but let me find something to read.
I wasn't eating a sandwich. I was eating spaghetti.
Okay, well, that
a
5 minutes
bowl of spaghetti
turned into, it took you 25 minutes to eat a large bowl of spaghetti, okay?
Yeah, it did.
So in that 25 minutes, I started reading Secret Wars 2. Dude,
I don't want indigestion, Pat. I think 25 minutes is a perfect amount of time to eat a meal.
Okay, but you got to tell me it's going to be 25 minutes. You send me a text saying I'll be right there. Okay, right there is 5 minutes. Okay, 25 minutes, dude. That's like, hey, I'll be there in half an hour. Okay, if you tell me you're going to be there in half an hour, I don't sit by my laptop waiting on you. If you tell me I'm going to be there in just a minute, I'm going to sit by my laptop and wait on you. Okay, seriously. Anyway, so I started reading Secret Wars 2. All right, let me have fun here. I'm going to have fun here.
Yeah, do it.
And this is like 5 chapters of just goofy stories. And the first story is all the Marvel editors sitting around at one of the infamous planning sessions, planning out Secret Wars. And the thing stars Jonathan Hickman. And the first thing they're doing is explaining that they have to cancel every series. And all the editors and writers are like, wait a minute, we got to cancel every series? And then Jonathan Hickman promises every issue of Secret Wars will ship on time. He guarantees it.
Oh, gosh.
And then he goes in the bathroom and hurls because he doesn't have an ending for Secret Wars, okay? He doesn't have an ending. And then God Doom comes in and starts counseling him on it, okay?
This sounds like a fever dream.
They start having this conversation about how to finish it, and it's like, "Hey, you want a hot dog?" Doom's like, "No, I don't eat hot dogs." And they're talking about
Doom.
and Hickman's having this great conversation, and like he's like, "Well, why don't you eat hot dogs?" And he's like, "Because you have this rich palate because you eat all this great food at the castle." Doom's like, "No, dude, I can't get it through the hole." Okay, it won't get through the face mask. It's just.
I was going to say something about he can't get it through the mask.
He can't get it through the mask. It's great, man. It's just and Hitman's just freaking out because he doesn't have an ending to Secret Wars. And it's hilarious. There's a story where Spider-Man catches the thief and then Thor kills him, and then let's just say he doesn't live happily ever after because Ben and May don't exactly live up to what he thought they would live up to. It's hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious. There's a story in there. There's a D-Man story which isn't funny. There's a Galactus story where Jessica Drew, Daredevil, and Spider-Man are tasked with keeping Galactus's food blog operational, and it goes down.
Food blog.
And his food blog. Okay, his food app. All right, which is also his food blog. Jessica Drew and Spider-Man are sent to Earth 615. And in Earth 615, every person is Aunt May and Uncle Ben. So when the Avengers come, they have to fight them. All right? Except Spider-Man doesn't want to fight every Avenger that's Uncle Ben. So he doesn't want to hit all the Uncle Bens. Dude, this book is ridiculous. It's funny.
Okay, I did not read this, and I'm regretting it. I'm going to go read this as soon as we're done.
I recommend it. Everyone read this just because it's funny. I mean, it's just this is one of those things when you need a laugh. Okay, you've had a bad day, you need a laugh. Go back and read this book.
Yeah, I really enjoy absurd humor, so this is right up my alley.
And Marvel used to make books like this. Golly. What was the book they made in the 60s? It wasn't Foom.
I don't know. I wasn't alive then.
But they used to make a book in the 60s. I've looked to see if it's on Unlimited, and it's not. And I can't think of what it's called.
Anyway, they used to do more humorous type stuff.
They used to put out a book like this semi-regularly. And anyway, this thing is – that first story alone with Hickman and the editors, I mean, you can see Bendis sitting there with his big bald head. It's just – It's Hickman promising to ship the thing on time. When he just promised it would all ship on time, I laughed.
Oh yeah, I'd bust a gut.
Because at this point you know the thing. When they wrote this, the thing had already shipped months late.
Yeah,
anyway.
I mean they had to write this first or after. So oh Lord, that's hilarious.
It was hilarious. Okay, what was your favorite book of the week?
I'm gonna go with Darth Vader Down.
Okay.
Or Vader Down, rather. Yeah, that was my favorite one this week.
I almost picked this book. That first story was so funny, and I laughed so hard while you were making me wait, that I almost picked this book. Instead, I'm going with Miss Marvel. That's how much that book. And again, what we're looking for here, when we pick our favorite books of the week, is the book that surprises us and kind of catches us off guard. I knew New Avengers 3 would be good. Okay. So, but that Miss Marvel book really entertained me. A little bit too much teenage love. Okay. A little bit too much teenage love.
Yeah.
But that book really was entertaining. The art isn't completely my cup of tea, but it was good art. It was good writing. I really enjoyed it. I really did. And I surprisingly enjoyed it. It was literally on the torture list. And I wound up really, really enjoying that book.
Yeah, it went from your torture list to your pull list.
Yeah, it did. That's a good way of putting it. I was surprised by that book. Yeah.
Cool. I picked Vader Down because he just reaps carnage on the rebels, and yay, Darth Vader. There's some other things too, but just you really see the brutality of Darth Vader, and it's knowing he was once Anakin Skywalker and where he came from and who he used to be to now. It's it's heavy.
Yeah. Yes. And also this week in the dump we have, of course, the X-Men. We're doing this week of 523. And this week, all these X Factor books came out.
Yeah, they all pretty much tie in with the Age of Apocalypse.
They're all Age of Apocalypse books.
Yeah. If you want to hear what we have to say about these books and the Age of Apocalypse, well, we recorded a one-shot episode that you can go listen to. And you'll know exactly what we think of the dump this week.
There you go. My classic reading. No, where are we at? Oh, we're at the tip.
Yeah, organizing books by date.
Yeah, and because you showed me how to do that, and explain what the problem is and how to solve that problem.
The problem is that sometimes you want to go find a particular thing to read or at a particular event, and you don't
in app.
In the app, yeah, in the Marvel Unlimited app, you don't know what to read first or where to start. But I have found, and I did this with Age of Apocalypse, if you go to the Browse tab, and then you go up to Series, or pardon me, Events, comic book events. Under comic book events, you can find, of course, it's listed alphabetically. So I went and found Age of Apocalypse, and then in the top left corner, there's a sort button, and you can sort it by oldest first or most recent first, and that gives you at least a loose reading order, so it at least makes sense, and you don't know where you're not, where you're supposed to start.
Because if you look at the Age of Apocalypse itself, the reading order is really messed up. It starts with those Blink books, which are, if you look at the year date, are published like a year later.
They're like 6 years later.
Okay, they're published way out of sequence. And what you need to read is X-Men Alpha, I believe.
Yeah, X-Men Alpha number.
Well, it's X-Men Alpha. It's X-Men Alpha number 1. It's basically the first book in the series. And if you sort it by date, that's the first book that comes up. But you have to sort it by date to get it there.
Yeah.
If you don't sort it by date, it's like book 4 or something. It's book 5 or 6, I think. Anyway.
Yeah. So anyway, that's a little tip to help you navigate some of, if you got a big thing you want to read and you don't know where to start with the most recent one or start with the oldest one. It'll help you in terms of sequence of events.
There you go.
What we got next week?
Hold on. I'm taking them out of order. I put it in our wrong order on our chart here.
Okay.
The classic of the week is Inferno. And if you go to the, I think it's both in the Discover and in the, holy cow, I can't read that. We discussed earlier how blind I was, both in the Discover and in the Browse tab. Under Browse, it's in events. The Inferno event itself is about 60 issues because it covered every comic. You don't have to read all those. What you really want to read is New Mutants, 71, 72, and 73, and then where the books cross over between X-Factor and Uncanny X-Men.
So this is an X-Men event.
It's an X-Men event. It is an X-Men event. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And what you really want to read are those New Mutants books, X-Factor books, and the Uncanny X-Men books. Now, you can read the Spider-Man book, everything else that goes into it. What essentially happens is Alana Rupson is, as we know, Belasco took her to whatever, Limbo.
Who?
Belasco, the demon that took her to Limbo.
No, took who to Limbo?
Alana Rupson.
Ilana Rasputin?
Rasputin?
Colossus' sister.
Magic. Let's go with Magic.
Okay, Colossus' sister, Ilana Rasputin, who is Magic. Okay, now I'm on board. Sorry, your pronunciation threw me off.
Dude, you know me in names, okay? Let's just go with Magic. How about that?
Magic. Yeah.
Okay, he takes her to Limbo. And she's fighting for control of Limbo and fights with a demon. And essentially, and I haven't read these New Mutants books anytime recently, so I'm doing this from memory and about 2 sentences I read on Wikipedia today. Loses the fight with the demon, and the demon takes Madeline Pryor, who is Scott Summers' cloned wife, and his baby, who doesn't know his clone, and his baby, and brings Limbo into Earth, and brings that whole magical dimension of hell into Earth, and just takes Earth and turns it into hell. And that is, yeah.
Nothing could go wrong there. Nothing. Swimmingly. It will just be all just sunshine and rainbows, and it'll work out just fine.
It'll be just fine. And along the way, you have the X-Men fighting each other. You've got Wolverine fighting Archangel. You've got the X-Men finding out that Jean Grey's still alive. It's a great series. It's a great series. And of course, along the way, they got to figure out how to beat the demon and restore everything the way it's supposed to be. It's good. And somewhere on the website, I'll probably just put a quick blog up and throw these books up here. It's about 10 books that are just the X books themselves that you can read. If you want to read all the crossovers, you can, and see all the heroes running around in hell on Earth. If that entertains you, go ahead and read all 60 or 70 books. If not, just read these 10.
Cool. When were these published exactly? Probably 90s, I guess.
90.
It would have been around the
89,
time
90.
the Age of Apocalypse thing was happening. So
89, 90, something like that.
yeah,
Let me get back to my homepage.
95 maybe.
I'm looking. I've read so many books. I'm not sure there's one up there. X Factor 68 is 91. Probably 89. Probably 88, 89.
These books are as old as I am.
You make me feel so old sometimes.
Well,
Yeah. There you go. 88 or 89, sometime like that.
Cool.
Shipping next week.
Shipping next week.
Shipping next week. We should have Hawkeye number 2,
Cool.
Black Knight number 2, a new
Heck yeah.
Deadpool book, Deadpool number 3. Come on, man. Hercules number 2. I think that annual set up Scarlet Witch number 1, which should come out next week.
Okay.
Hopefully Secret Wars number 8. Maybe a couple more. Maybe an Ultimates book, maybe an Uncanny Avengers book. You never know.
Cool, dude. Sounds good. Well, if you want to get in touch with us, you can hit us up at 6monthsbehind@gmail.com. Remember, that's the number 6monthsbehind@gmail.com. And what's the website?
The website is www.6, spelled out, SIX, monthsbehind.com. We made this as confusing as possible because that's what we do.
Yes,
we're trying to help
take
you
things
out
that are already confusing and make them more confusing. It's our superpower.
Yes,
Yes.
it is.
Any parting wisdom for our listeners?
I have nothing. My brain is toast.
Toast.
Yes. Is
See you
there
guys
toast
next
at
week.
Overwatch?
No, there's not.
Okay.
Well, there might be. I assume that's a universe that has toast.
Probably.
I'm going to go contemplate the realities of toast in the Overwatch universe. Bye, everybody.
Peace.